It was written that Ben Affleck's The Accountant is a movie about autism written by people who have no understanding what autism is.
I'm sure that they tested it with RFK Jr., who said that there's no love with autistic people, so that probably makes a lot of sense.
How do you think RFK Jr. will feel about that?
He's probably going to be thrilled. He's going to be like, wow, they can wield a gun. Perfect. America.
We come to this place for magic, to laugh,
to cry,
to care,
but most importantly to argue about movies. We are
the Box Office Buds.
My name is Tony Squares. As always, I'm joined by the stellar Kellerman, the man they call Cheese, and today we all, each and every one of us, went to the theater together to go see Sinners. We'll be giving out our spoiler-free and maybe a little bit of spoiler review at the end. But Kellerman, as you can see right now, is dressed to impress. No, not because Minecraft keeps making millions and millions of dollars, projecting him forward in our fantasy box office league, but mostly because his second movie of the year is coming out, The Accountant 2. We'll be talking about that today. Alche, how excited are you to talk about another Ben Affleck movie?
Can't wait. You know I love Benny A, but God in heaven, I'm not sure about this one.
Benny A.
Before we go on, we do have to say goodbye to some of the movies that have already been drafted in our Fantasy Movie League. Again, if you are first time watching or listening to this show, we have a Fantasy Box Office League. We each have drafted 5 movies coming out this calendar year. Whoever makes the most money at the box office wins said league. I look this good because I won last season. Kellerman is killing it this year. You can see the results, the current standings on the screen with me right now. He is going even farther past Dangles for second place. I barely have a little bit of a smidgen on those graphics thanks to King of Kings. Alche dying in the weeds with Mickey 17. And yes, Kellerman gets another one coming out this weekend, but we have to say goodbye. We've said goodbye to Mickey 17. We've said goodbye to Captain America. It is time to read the last rites of both Snow White and the lovable Dog Man. Disney's live action is dead in the water, turning Gal Gadot once again into Gal Gadot. If Mickey wants any more new fans, well, they might have to take the head of a dog to stick on the body of a man.
Well said. Well said.
It's beautiful.
I sent my son during spring break to see Snow White. I asked him how it was. He did not respond. That, to me, is a big no. Goodbye, Snow White. Deeply confusing choices made all around. Terrible, terrible, terrible scores all around. Oh boy. Goodbye, Snow White. Dogman. My nemesis. My foe. My friend?
No.
No. Goodbye, Dogman. Somehow you lasted since January. And somehow you continued to make a little bit of money each week and ruin my day. So goodbye, you weird, weird character in a book, now a movie. I'm sure I will play you in eternity at my home.
Dogman, you came and went without me ever knowing what the hell you were. So goodbye. And Snow White, I don't have a clever pun. You know what? Yes, I did. Unlike Dogman, Snow White had no bite. Maybe that's more of a rhyme.
Okay.
But goodbye either way.
Goodbye to those 2 movies as we say hello to many more. Let's talk about The Accountant. The Accountant 1 came out in 2016, made $155 million worldwide. Ben Affleck, an autistic tax accountant that somehow is also a trained serial killer. His brother, John Bernthal, who is also a trained killer. They go crazy trying to find mountain out of a molehill, stuff happening in the world of tax accounting. It's a movie that barely made any money and yet did great on streamers over and over again. So 8 years later, the same director, the same writer are bringing it back for the second time, the second go-around. The Accountant 2, Kellerman, it is your movie.
Sure is.
You are steadfast in your opinion that you think this is going to be a success.
I do.
How excited are you?
I'm very excited for this movie. I think that everybody in the league has made fun of me for this movie.
Yes.
This is my Dogman. Everybody made fun of TJ for choosing Dogman, and that ended up blowing everybody's expectations out of the water. This is my Dogman.
Here's what I'm saying to that. Dogman still didn't do well. It made $137 million.
140 now, yeah.
140. Whoop-de-doo. The point is, that's not going to do anything for you in this league. Granted, you have a juggernaut in Minecraft. I'd say if it makes $200 million, I will eat my words, but I don't see that happening.
Ooh.
Listen, this movie came out again.
Well, hold on a second, Tony. $200 million, you say?
I say.
You willing to put anything where your mouth is?
I will put it, well, not anything. Not anything, but I will put a bet
Any
in
kind of
my
wager
hand.
you want to make?
What?
Any kind of wager you want to make?
Yeah, what do you want to wager?
I bet it makes more than $200 million.
Okay. I'll buy your ticket to the accountant too.
No, I
No?
want ice cream.
You want?
Buy me a milkshake.
You got it. But I'll buy you a milkshake. You buy me a bourbon. That feels equal, right?
Sure.
Cheers.
Will Ben Affleck's milkshake bring any boys to the yard? We don't know. The Accountant one, it's taken 8 years to come back.
Sure.
Does anybody care about this movie? I know what your thoughts are. You've seen this on streaming. I've seen this on streaming. It's probably been on TNT,
You've seen the
TBS,
original
USA
on streaming.
Yeah.
million times on streaming at this point, or on TV, on cable, whatsoever. Many people have. It was one of Netflix's highest streamed movies in 2024, the original The Accountant.
Yeah.
Do you care that number 2 is coming out? Did you need more of this story?
Absolutely not. But Ben Affleck thought we did. He's the one who in every interview is like, there was always more meat on the bone. I always was coming back to The Accountant too. I always knew that we would have more to tell. And I'm like, you did? Why? There's so many better stories to tell. This is so absurd. The trailer, I finally saw like a more detailed trailer before Sinners this weekend. My God, tonally, it's all over the place. It's a comedy. It's a this. It's a that. John Bernthal is the only saving grace to me. I think John Bernthal can do no wrong. So I'm going to see this in theaters.
In theaters?
In theaters.
Definitely.
Just because I love John Bernthal, and maybe because I love Kellerman, and I'll give him one ticket to the $150 million.
How about
it's
because
gonna
you
make.
like entertaining movies? You just list it. You're like, oh, it has too many things that I like. Too much. Is it comedy? Is it action? Is it? Maybe it's both.
First of all, the comedy looked terrible.
I agree. The trailer is not very funny.
Well, let me tell you what it doesn't have, because I have a secret source that went and saw this movie at the DGA a few days ago, and I got the inside scoop of what this movie actually has in it. It does
unfair.
not have Anna Kendrick, the love story from The Accountant 1. The reason why I actually like the movie more than others is because of Ben Affleck with Anna Kendrick. Not only is she not in this movie, a love angle for Ben Affleck's character is not a real central plot point of The Accountant 2. Also, another thing that's not in this movie, not giving any spoilers away, the whole reason he's an accountant. The Accountant 1, where he goes into the office and he has all those numbers on the whiteboard in the office trying to find the missing holes, trying to get to where the money was, figure out where the rabbit hole leads to. That's not in this movie as well. I got a direct scoop that this is much more of an action movie, much more of the boys teaming up, almost like a war movie, it was told to me. I will say a good thing, Kellerman.
Sounds cool.
It does sound cool, but it's not what The Accountant 1 was. So if you watch The Accountant 1 expecting that same of the movie, it tonally is a completely different shift to what that movie is. There is world building. They are building to an Accountant 3. Gavin O'Connor came to this DGA meeting and gave answers. They want to have The Accountant 3 get going. But the biggest news that should make you happy is that they had trouble funding this movie. They had to get the rights back from Warner Brothers. They brought it over to Amazon. Amazon came in, gave them the money, but they have a deal with Amazon that, unlike Mickey 17, this movie will stay in theaters for a long time before it comes to streaming.
Really?
5 weeks is what Amazon gave them, that this will be in theaters before it comes to streaming. So that helps you out.
Yeah, I actually didn't even know that when I drafted it. I was just banking on how well the first one did. It was also a surprise. At the time, everyone was like, what is this weird movie where Ben Affleck is playing an autistic accountant, which sounds like it could be the most boring thing ever put on film. But instead, it was a really fun action movie. And, honestly, I'm not that surprised that this one doesn't have the love interest. I felt like the love interest was intrusive in the previous story. And
Intrusive to the incredibly lacking plot already. Good.
And I also thought that it made the figure, Ben Affleck's character, who does suffer from autism, is very standoffish when it comes to others. It did humanize that person rather than making him a killing machine robot, which also was the main con that the National Center for Autism found with his portrayal of this movie. It was written that Ben Affleck's The Accountant is a movie about autism written by people who have no understanding what autism is.
Yep.
So that's what we're getting for The Accountant 2, doubling down on the fact that we're not humanizing him one bit, but instead making him more of a killing machine.
I'm sure that they tested it with RFK Jr., who said that there's no love with autistic people, so that probably makes a lot of sense.
How do you think RFK Jr. will feel about that?
He's probably going to be thrilled. He's going to be like, wow, they can wield a gun. Perfect. America.
He said recently that they can't pay taxes.
They can't pay taxes.
Well,
they,
the accountant
They
would beg
can't
to
throw
differ.
a baseball, but they can wield a gun.
And apparently,
America.
they can speed date and line dance as well, which have been two of the showcases from The Accountant 2. The new, Ben Affleck's having fun. He's speed dating.
He's speed dating.
And
well, all right then. So there is a little B-plot love interest.
Well, we'll
with
see how
maybe nobody.
B, C, or D that plot line is. Again, Kellerman, I am just wondering. I understand you liked this movie. I understand many people have liked this movie. I am wondering why you think this is going to be a successor to The Accountant 1, and B, people are going to actually care about it. When the first one, again, did not make that much to begin with.
I think it's been proven that recognizable IP is what brings people to the box office, whether we like it or not. I love a lot of indie films that are not based on IP, but sequels tend to make money.
More money than the first, yeah.
Sometimes more money than the first, sometimes less money than the first, but typically, if it is a sequel, it is at least somewhat bankable. And I think Ben Affleck is still a bankable actor. I love John Bernthal, who I also think is a more bankable actor than he was when the original came out.
100%.
And, I think that in a world where a working man gets number 2 at the box office, I think The Accountant could easily surpass those expectations.
It does have some competition. Sinners is still out there. If you want to go on a date night movie, you go see Sinners. If you have kids that you want, not that you would take them to The Accountant, but Minecraft is definitely still out there.
Take him to The Accountant too.
King of Kings, only dropping 12%. That's still out there too. But you said Ben Affleck is a bankable actor. This is something I want to bring up to the two of you. I'm surprising you with this question right now because it's something I thought of, and I do think it deserves a bit of a debate. I don't just want a snap answer here from the two of you because I want you to think about this. You said Ben Affleck is a bankable actor, and I do agree with that. But he's been in our lives, at least in movie lives, since 1992. And he's been in a plethora of movies since then. I'm sure you know more than a few. But the question is Ben Affleck a good actor?
Yes. Yes, Ben Affleck is a very good actor. Ben Affleck has had some questionable choices of films that he's been in.
Sure.
But Ben Affleck delivers consistent, enjoyable performances. I don't think he's the world's greatest actor. I think he's a solid actor, and he's got great presence, and he really connects in a scene with his scene partners. I think he does all the things he needs to do. I don't think he does anything really special, but sometimes he doesn't have to. Like Good Will Hunting, like even Boiler Room. I don't know if you know that movie, but he's great in Boiler Room for the 14 seconds he's in it.
Has he ever been more than just a good hang in those movies? Because again, I've never seen him, like he's great in Air, but I also believe that that's who Ben Affleck is. I don't believe I've ever seen Ben Affleck be anything other than that character from Air in different settings.
Why does he have to be? He's great in Argo. It's probably a similar character. He's great.
But does that make him a good
He's
actor?
even great in a terrible movie like Jersey Girl. Like,
but does that
he's great
make
in
him
Mallrats?
I
actor?
was going to use Jersey Girl as an example of what I think is really phenomenal acting, and that's why I actually agree with Cheese. I think he's a great actor. Not because every movie he's in is great or every performance blows me away, but because I've seen him do truly great work. And I have never seen him and thought, what is he doing?
Really?
Never.
I have that feeling a lot more than I
Really?
see him
Oh,
and
I've
go,
never had that
love
feeling.
Ben Affleck.
I have never felt that way
Wow.
about Ben Affleck.
Well,
The
if that's
Town? He's great in The Town.
I love The Town.
I think he's a better director than an actor.
He's actually a better
Give you
director.
that. I love him as a director,
Yeah.
but as an actor, to me, again, I've never seen him go past. I've never seen him go the extra mile. I've never seen him transform into a different version of himself. The version that we get, again, good hang. I like the guy. He is enjoyable on camera. He looks great. He sounds great. But the next step is what's been missing for me. But hey, I'm alone
Have you
on this
seen
side
The
of the
Accountant?
island.
Have you seen The Accountant? He's he's really stepping into a different lane, and it's my least favorite performance by him. I want him to only be himself.
Yeah, fair enough.
I will say that, and that kind of gets into a different discussion about whether he is a really good actor or a movie star, because
Definitely a movie star.
Definitely
a movie
builds
star.
their career around their own personality, and the movies are tailored to what they do, which Ben Affleck certainly does.
I also think a fundamental discrepancy between what a good actor is and what a good personality is very confusing. People think that acting means you have to transform and do all these things. Sure, if Daniel Day-Lewis is in his own category,
exactly.
Philip Seymour Hoffman's in his own category, Meryl Streep's in her own category, Viola Davis is in her own category, but
or there's like the Meisner technique where
there's something to be said for bringing yourself to a character and then meeting them halfway, and that is a beautiful shout out to Rodney Hudson for the hand on a hand. But there's something to be said for that, and not everyone can just be themselves on screen or on stage. It's a lot harder than it actually looks.
Speaking of that, we got 2 votes for good actor. One, I'll agree to disagree, but that's okay. We cannot deny that whether it's directing, whether it's him being a movie star, whether it's him being himself, he's been in a bunch of
great
fantastic
use of
movies.
earlier.
Fantastic movies. So the next question is, what are the top 3 Ben Affleck movies? There's a lot to choose from.
I mean, also, all right, before we dive into this, let's define what a Ben Affleck movie is. Can he be supporting, or is this Ben Affleck as a leading man?
I think if you walk away from the movie remembering Ben Affleck, then it's a Ben Affleck movie. It can also be a Matt Damon movie. It can also be a
They tend to go hand in hand.
Like, he's not the biggest part of Dogma, but I think Dogma is one of the best Ben Affleck movies.
I would not put that in that category. I think he's a great cameo in that movie, but he is not a supporting.
I think the story centers around Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Well, they're not the main characters. They just are. They're the antagonists.
They're vital characters.
They're not the protagonists.
Yes.
So if we're not going to throw in Dogma, then you got to take out a couple of other great movies that he's in as well.
That's true. That's true. Hard to say if Good Will Hunting is a Ben Affleck
Good Will
movie
Hunting
also.
is obviously a Matt Damon and Robin Williams movie, but
I don't know if I'd call it a Robin Williams
Oh,
movie.
you wouldn't call it a Robin Williams movie? He won an Oscar.
Don't.
He won an Oscar.
I think it can be multiple people's movies. And I also think since Ben Affleck had a hand in making said movie, it's a Ben Affleck movie as well.
I'll give you that one.
Ben Affleck has arguably the best speech in that whole movie at the end.
True.
If several
But I'd
years
say
from
the
now you
same
come
thing
back and
about
knock on the
Boiler
door.
Room. He has the best speech in Boiler Room, and it's not a Ben Affleck movie.
Boiler Room's also not making my list. Another one that I think we should talk about that I think arguably is his best movie is Gone Girl.
Oh, great movie. It's not his best movie, but a great movie.
No.
I think it has to be on there at least.
I think that is more of a directing feat than an acting feat.
Yeah, but we're not talking about his best acting movie. It's his best
we're
movies.
talking about directing and acting?
No. He's the main actor in it. It's one of his best movies. It's a Ben Affleck movie. It's one of the best movies he's been in. Armageddon,
I guess I would
also on
agree.
my list.
Yeah.
I love Armageddon.
Yeah, you're right. I
Yes.
think Armageddon kind of has to be on there, even though he had done a lot before it. That was his kind of huge breakout.
And it's also
leading
an
man blockbuster.
extremely corny movie. Like, this
I
isn't one
mean,
that's going to win any Oscars,
I
but
don't
it's still
know.
a great movie. Great
Ben,
rewatch.
especially a great
Look,
Ben.
I don't know how we could talk about this without talking about his incredible performance in Chasing Amy.
Another great performance.
He
I
is
agree.
stellar in that movie
Yeah, really
and delivers line after line, monologue after monologue in a way that is so good. The movie, yes, is a little dated
Apparently
now.
it's problematic.
but it's so
can we
freaking
include
good.
it?
Oh, I'm fine with including stuff that's problematic. That's something we talked about with Shallow Hal. I think
Fair
we
enough.
should make it okay to include those if it's a good movie itself. I don't think Chasing Amy holds up to the other movies we've been talking about so
Dude,
far.
wow.
I'm fine putting it on there, but you're gonna have to convince me to kick off a movie like Gone Girl, like Armageddon.
I would kick off Armageddon in a heartbeat. That is not a Ben Affleck movie.
Again,
No, I don't agree with that.
That's a Bruce Willis movie.
it's also The Town that I think needs to be on there, and Good Will Hunting we also
Town,
talked about.
yeah, wow.
I love Reindeer Games.
No.
He's been in a bunch of great movies.
I liked Forces of Nature. It's not getting on the list.
So what are the top 3?
I like Good Will Hunting, The Town, and Chasing Amy. I think that makes the most sense to me. But if you have something else to replace Chasing Amy with, that a performance is better in, where he says more in, where he does more with less.
Time out. This isn't top 3 Ben Affleck performances. It is top 3 Ben Affleck movies. And we still haven't mentioned Argo.
Argo's a great movie.
Argo is a
That's
great
a better movie than Chasing Amy.
Sure.
I gotta be honest. I really love Chasing Amy, so I'm gonna have a hard time dropping it now.
I love Chasing Amy so much.
I love that movie, and I love his performance in it.
So we're going to choose Chasing Amy over an Oscar winner.
Yeah. Well, only because I think that Chasing Amy deserves an Oscar. And didn't
Well,
get
I
one.
think we should get rid of The Town and put Argo.
No chance. The town is one of
I
my
agree
favorite
that
All
movies.
right, Bill
Town-
Simmons, calm down.
I think The Town has to go on there. I feel like Good Will Hunting kind of just has to go on there.
I agree.
And The Accountant won. Bing, bang, boom. All done.
Well, you tell us what the third movie should be in Ben Affleck's historic
Yeah,
career.
leave a comment.
Because we cannot agree on it, and Alche will not let it go. Before we move on to guesses,
Well,
though.
we could agree it's Chasing Amy if you'll just give in.
Before we move on to guesses, though, Ben Affleck's also been in a lot of really crappy movies.
Sure has.
So I think this will be
Yeah.
easier to figure out. What are the worst Ben Affleck movies? Hold
Geely,
on.
number one.
What are the worst? we'll settle it at 3. What are the worst 3 Ben Affleck movies?
Geely, number one.
Yeah, I think Reindeer Games goes on that list.
You don't like Reindeer Games that much?
It's just a bad movie.
Oh,
It's
I
not-
really like
regardless
Reindeer
of whether
Games.
I like
that
it.
also might have been a time where like I was 13 watching it on TNT and really fell in
Yeah,
love with it,
sure,
you know,
of
type
course.
thing.
But
So
we
I
all
could be
love
wrong.
Charlize Theron.
It's been a while since I've seen Reindeer Games, but I remember really enjoying it.
Geely, Zack Snyder's Batman versus Superman.
Oh, I was
that
gonna
has to be number one with a bullet.
put Justice League, but you know more than I do.
Batman vs Superman is absolutely the bottom
So,
of the barrel.
and then I think the next one that needs to be on there is Daredevil.
Oh, you see, as a kid,
That's a good pick,
I
but
loved
yeah,
it.
I'm gonna.
Colin Farrell is the craziest bullseye of that movie.
Yeah, it can't go on the list of worst.
Really?
It certainly doesn't make the top.
Look, it's not
top,
a good movie,
it's not
but
the
I
bottom.
watched that maybe 400 times as a kid.
Okay,
Yeah,
let me throw another one on there. Pearl Harbor.
Ooh.
No,
I loved Pearl Harbor.
certainly not on the worst.
What? You
I
guys liked Pearl Harbor?
I
First
like
of all,
Pearl
hold on a
Harbor.
second. If we're basing the best list on things like winning Oscars, Pearl Harbor cannot go on the worst list.
Pearl
Well, I
Harbor
mean,
did not win
It won a
Oscars.
bunch of awards.
It did?
It doesn't matter. Crash
Yeah.
won a bunch of awards too. It's not a good movie.
But your reasoning for not including
Nah,
certain
Pearl
things
Harbor
on the
is an
first list.
enjoyable
Yeah, Pearl Harbor is a huge epic
romanticization.
that a lot of people love.
The reason why people don't like it is because they think it romanticized a horrendous event, which it did.
Yeah, and it's Michael Bay-ized.
Yeah.
But
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
it certainly doesn't belong on the worst list.
Okay, well, you're going to have to find me a third. We got Geely. We got, what was it, Batman vs. Superman? What's number 3?
I mean, again, I enjoyed this movie thoroughly as a kid, but Jersey Girl is not a good movie. Jersey Girl is not a good movie.
You're right.
And I love Kevin Smith, but it is not a good movie.
Well, sorry, Kevin. Jersey Girl makes the list for the worst, one of the worst Ben Affleck movies, and so does Geely. It's tough times.
That
Tough time
hurts.
for Ben.
That hurts because I really love Kevin Smith, and I don't want
I love
any
Kevin
of his
Smith
movies
too,
to be
and
on
I would
this
love him
list.
to be on the pod,
I'm just
Kevin.
having a hard time trying to think of something that's worse. Okay, so the worst 3 Ben Affleck movies are Batman vs Superman, Geely, and Jersey Girl. I'm sorry, Kevin Smith.
We love you so much, but yes.
That's enough about the best and worst of Ben Affleck's long and storied career. Accountant 2. Let's dive into it. We need to figure out what the over-under is for the domestic opening weekend. And I can't remember last week, Alche, did you or I win our predictions from last week?
You were.
I do remember. We guessed Sinners. TJ put 65 million as the number. He went over. I went under. You went under. 2 winners on the podcast right now and a loser.
I'm okay with that. Worldwide, Sinners did 65, so a part
61,
of me was
yeah.
right.
I mean, Sinners had a great opening. We'll talk about Sinners in a second and how Variety treated Sinners opening. It was a great number. Sadly, though, the under hit. So now it's time to talk about The Accountant. Again, first movie, 155 million worldwide. Ben Affleck movies, total. We have Argo made 19 million worldwide. Gone Girl made 37 million worldwide. Some of these numbers are all over the place. 24.7 was the domestic opening for The Accountant number 1. So, producer TJ, can't wait to see what the number is for The Accountant 2. So, the number for The Accountant 2 domestic opening weekend is $25 million. Now, Alche and I are both 6-4. Kellerman is 4-6 at this game. We're going to force Kellerman to go first so the 2 champions can duke it out afterwards.
Yeah.
This is also your movie, Kellerman. $25 million domestic.
Let me crunch some numbers here. let me just crunch some numbers here. Do some accounting.
Give him a visor and he looks great.
When did we start doing a Beatles biopic?
You look fantastic.
25 million.
You somehow look more high.
Opening 25 million. Opening domestic only, right?
How
Still.
many times can we do this?
25.
25.
2.5. This is a good number. This is a tough pick.
I'm gonna bet on myself
Finally.
and go over.
Good for you.
I think it does better than 25 million.
Finally, I'm very happy for you.
The Accountant 1 made 24.7. That's a tough one, Alche. Do you want me to go first or do you want to go first? Because I'm pretty torn.
I would love you to go first, please.
Yeah, I'm pretty torn. I am leaning under because, again, there's a lot of competition out there. I don't believe in The Accountant. I don't think there's a lot of push for it. Then again, we live in LA and we've seen those, call wolf numbers. We've seen those bus ads, those bench ads. They're getting the word out there. I've seen it a lot during like NBA playoff games. They're showing these previews. They are doing well marketing this thing. 25 is a big one. I'm gonna go under, but I guess I would be surprised if I'm either right or wrong. I think it can go either way. So I'll go under 25.
Wow. How diplomatic of you. Sinners is getting the biggest buzz ever. Weekend 2, I think, is going to still be huge. Minecraft continues to be this insanity that exists. And
don't forget, King of Kings, only 12% drop.
That's because it was Easter. Goodbye, King of Kings. We'll probably be gravestoning you next week.
R.I.P. to the Pope. He would like you to see his movie about Jesus Christ.
Man. Oh, man. I am going under, and I think it's going to be like 15.
We agree on the unders. Hey, man, I hope we're both right. I hope we're both right.
Give me a chance to catch up a little bit. I need it.
But that is it about the new movie coming out this weekend. However, it's not it about the new movies coming out this weekend, because coming up next is another version of See It, Stream It, or Skip It. As we said, plenty of movies coming out this weekend, plenty of original movies coming out this weekend. You also can go see Happy Gilmore again. You can go see Star Wars Episode 3 again on a re-release, but we want to focus on 3 smaller original movies that are coming out in another version of See It, Stream It, or Skip It. Should you see it in a theater? Should you wait for it to be streaming, or should you miss it altogether? Kellerman, 3 movies that are right up your alley this week, my friend. First one. Until Dawn, a horror movie based on a video game that really has a cult following out there. 1 year after her sister mysteriously vanishes, Clover and her friends return to the place where she left, see if they can find some answers. Horror movie, again, Until Dawn. Second one, On Swift Horses. Makes me laugh every time I say it, because if it sounds like a really corny Hallmark romantic movie, you'd be correct. However, Jacob Elordi's in this movie. Daisy Edgar-Jones is in this movie. Will Poulter's in this movie. A lot of will they, won't they get together? Is he straight? Is he gay? We don't know. A lot of very, very touchy-feely movie going on. And then finally, Cheech and Chong's last movie. Kellerman, is that a direct enough title for you?
I mean, hopefully.
If I have to explain what a Cheech and Chong last movie is about, maybe you aren't going to see that one.
Great title.
Alche, which one out of those 3 are you seeing?
I'm seeing the horror movie.
Until Dawn.
I'm seeing Until Dawn. I think it is going to be interesting. I like the trailer, and I just feel like I'm in a horror mindset after seeing Sinners, and I'll probably do a triple feature. Accountant 2, Until Dawn, and check out Sinners one more time.
Still hasn't seen the drop, though. Kellerman, what movie are you seeing?
I'm going to see Cheech and Chong's last movie, probably, because I have a special personal reason, which is that I was up to write this at one point.
What?
Really?
Truly, I was in the running to write this.
Oh, man.
What was your title?
I didn't have a title.
Well, that's why you lost.
It wouldn't have been last movie.
I don't think they had a title either.
But also, there just hasn't been like a good, fun, stupid stoner comedy. Minecraft excluded, I suppose. And Cheech and Chong is like a classic. I also wrote an episode of The Smoke Show for the Try Guys where they guest starred.
Nice.
I got to meet them.
Nice.
So I like Cheech and Chong. What can I say? I'll go see their movie.
Wow.
for you.
I am going to agree with Alche and see Until Dawn. I was going to skip Cheech and Chong altogether. You're convincing me that this is worth seeing in some capacity. So what's your stream then?
I'm streaming Cheech and Chong.
Come on. Are we that into Cheech and Chong?
No, but on a boring night where I'm home alone and I can, pop something real quick and enjoy the day, I'm going to see Cheech and Chong.
So no love for On Swift Horses?
Well, are you going to stream on Swift Horses?
That's what I'm going to stream, but I'm getting voted out by the Cheech and Chongites over here.
You
so
can
what
do
are
whatever
you
you
going to
want.
do?
I'm going to stream Until Dawn.
Yeah.
I loved the video game, but the fun of the video game is that it's sort of a choose-your-own-adventure story.
Correct.
So removing that element of it is why I'm a little less excited to see the actual movie, because
That's fair.
it'll just be a chosen story.
I guess I'm the only one streaming the Will They, Won't They? Is he gay? Is she gay? Who knows? Are they going to get together movie at myself?
Look, I love Daisy Arquette-Jones, but I really want to see her only Will They, Won't They with Paul Mescal.
What an amazing cast. It just looks like the kind of indie darling that is, one of those annoying indie darlings where it just is the same as all the other indie darlings.
It's a new Brokeback Mountain, baby. It's
Yeah.
going to be good.
Exactly.
But I'm not.
I've
but
seen it.
I'm skipping it. Kellerman, what are you seeing, streaming, and skipping?
So I'm going to see Cheech and Chong's last movie. I'm going to stream Until Dawn, and I'm going to skip whatever that horse's movie is.
And I am seeing Until Dawn. I'm streaming Cheech and Chong. And I'll probably be in the kitchen cooking something while my wife watches something about horses.
But let's
What's
talk.
it called?
That's the hardest part. It's very hard to know. Brokeback Mountain 2 is what I'm calling it.
Gosh.
But let's now talk about a movie that we all saw. It's
Wait,
time.
hold on a second. I'm so sorry. I know that you're getting the thing, but classic, terrible movie title. Doesn't tell you what the movie's about, really. Can't even remember what it is.
They're going to be on Swift Horses. Swift Horses. That's what it is.
Speaking of movie titles, Kellerman thought was wrong, but he saw anyway. It's time to talk about Sinners. Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler, Sinners. We all saw it in theaters. You can see our little snippet of a preview or a review online right now. Again, if you want more of the box office buzz, whether you're listening or watching, head to YouTube, head to Instagram, head to TikTok. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Help this channel grow. We do truly appreciate it.
And get over on that Substack and follow my main man, Kellerman, putting out some awesome content every week.
But for our thoughts on Sinners, all three of us saw it. Everyone loves it. It's getting a great cinema score, Rotten Tomatoes scores. It made really good money for a horror movie, especially a period piece, whether Variety thinks so or not. We'll talk about Variety in a second. And we will be giving out spoilers nearer the end of this review when we talk about the intricate details of this movie. But overall, boys, did you enjoy your trip to the theater?
Kellerman, take it away.
I absolutely loved this movie. I will say that, as I said in my little quick review, it was exactly what I expected, which was a really excellent drama with a horror element, but not a full-blown horror movie, at least in my opinion.
I tend to agree with that part of it, but it was more of a drama thriller with some horror elements. Some amazing, like some of the best cinematography I've seen in a long time.
beautiful.
A couple of the best scenes I've seen in a long time. Maybe one of the best scenes I've ever seen in a movie. One of the most impactful scenes I've ever seen in the movie. And something that people may not understand, but it's like really about the blues. It's about the blues in totality, in how it was formed, in the different influences of the blues, and sort of like corrupting the blues as well, or co-opting the blues as well. And it the music is phenomenal. The performances are knockout. Michael B. Jordan is the best I've ever seen him. Haley Steinfeld, can we talk about her for a second? She's a good actor.
She was good in this.
She was
Everybody.
great.
I thought the entire cast was stacked.
Oh, stacked.
With people that were just
Everyone.
constantly blowing me away.
I think Delroy Lindo absolutely deserves an Oscar nomination.
I was going to ask you guys, what's the one thing, like if you had to pick one thing that you take away from this movie, if you're walking away saying one sentence about this movie, to me it was Delroy. He was so
Really?
funny. He
was incredible.
Talk about batting 1,000. Every single time he said a name or said a word on screen or even had a facial expression, it either made you laugh or like put you in the mood of the scene. He also was used as like a tenor change a lot into, we just went through this for 5 minutes, we cut to Delroy, now we're in this, like now we're laughing, now we're crying, now we're really into that music scene. He kicks off a lot of everything that's going on. I thought he was picture perfect. And I will say about the cinematography, Ryan Coogler, painted so many cool pictures that this is a type of a movie that you will see multiple times because you will catch multiple things around it. For instance, when the vultures are constantly circling around the vampires and follow him throughout the movie, there are little things in this thing that are spectacular. I think its greatest accomplishment, though, is that Kellerman, as you said, you didn't know if it was going to be a horror movie or a thriller or an action movie, even talking about the blues, talking about race relations, talking about how these brothers are escaping Chicago and all the things that it's doing. If you saw this sort of rundown on a piece of paper, like the log line of this thing, it'd be a mile long. And yet, Coogler and the cast do everything correctly. Like, they start and begin and keep everything on a single line. Like, it is so artfully told. I thought it was a real masterful story.
I completely agree.
Right. Yeah,
I completely agree. I mean,
no notes.
Ryan Coogler was given a contract that very few get and that a lot of people are, batting their eyes at. And I'm
Final cut is a big
not
deal.
Final cut, no notes on script, which
a big deal.
which he's earned at this point.
Sure.
He has earned that so hard.
I agree.
Fruitvale is a near perfect movie. Creed is an incredible achievement in bringing and re-energizing a franchise that felt dead in the water after many, many years.
Creed 2 is even better.
Creed 2, I disagree, but Creed 2 and 3 are both excellent. And then Black Panther,
Yeah.
where he knocked it out of the park and made a ton of money. He deserves this, and he should continue to deserve this.
And they're all like culturally relevant movies,
Yes.
even though they span different genres.
yes.
I'll also say the biggest part that people are either finding support in or finding not liking is that in 25 years he will have complete ownership of this movie, complete ownership rights
Great.
of this movie. I believe it's fantastic as well. However, that has led some people to talk about this movie in a different light, saying that it's been quoted to be the death of studios altogether if directors start to get the rights to their own movie. We also have Variety coming out with a piece that you may have seen. It caught a lot of flack online, and how this movie, Sinners, made $45 million domestically, $61 million worldwide opening weekend, only had a small-ish budget, a sort of a mid-movie budget to have this movie be made.
90 mil.
And Variety came out and said that instead of talking about how much of a win this was, because again, huge numbers for box office, huge numbers for vampire movies, for period pieces, and it will be a profitable movie after we go through weekends and weekends of it being out, and how you can stream it and how you can buy it on video on demand. Yet Variety came out and questioned its profitability right off the top with their headline. A lot of people found guff in how Variety has handled this story and stories in the past. So I guess my question to you guys is, do you believe Variety treated this fairly, or do you think people are dogpiling on Variety a little bit?
Breaking news, it after the adjustment, it has officially made $48 million domestically, which is a phenomenal output.
That's more than Disney's Snow White.
Yeah. Original IP, an artful, brilliant film that is badass and sexy and intelligent and brilliantly
Are you
told.
talking about Sinners or Snow White?
I'm definitely talking about Sinners. Okay. I think the headline is absolutely absurd. I think people like George Lucas, people like Quentin Tarantino, and people like Steven Spielberg have had this contract before. And the fact that he is a black man getting this when a movie has already made back 68% of its budget
In opening weekend.
is a ridiculous way to frame this. It should be celebrated. It should be mimicked with our great auteurs so that we continue to have cinema and original IP and stories that are just like mind-blowing and bending genres. And he absolutely deserved it, and the marketing is working, and the movie is bringing in money.
Do you think, Kellerman, that Variety, this is becoming a trend with that publication? Because a couple of weeks ago, they wrote a piece, I believe it was Tatiana Siegel was the author, wrote a piece blaming all of Snow White's failures on Rachel Zegler, not talking about how Disney treated the movie, how the pre-production stuff, Gal Gadot in any way, but really tried to pin it and shape people's opinions on a certain actor or actress. And this seems to be doing the same thing, trying to tell one side of a story instead of the truth of said story. Do you think this is becoming a trend with Variety as a whole?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, obviously, but it does feel like these articles are basically being paid for by the studios. I mean, this Coogler one more recently is like, all the studios are going to go bankrupt if they pay artists what they're worth and let them own their material. It's kind of a ridiculous conceit, really. The studio system shouldn't work in a way where artists don't get paid fairly and don't own their material. So
IndieWire
if we're breaking that aspect of it, that is sort of a good thing ultimately for the industry, even if it is a bad thing ultimately for the studio.
IndieWire has become the industry standard for having negative content and negative headlines throughout every article they have. They rarely have a positive review. They're incredibly harsh, and it is obviously because it's going to piss people off, and it's going to make people go to their content. Even people like me, who I for some reason still follow IndieWire on Instagram, even though I cannot stand that publication. But it's just the way the mind seems to be working these days.
So do you think it's more variety trying to get headlines with those negative clicks, or do you think this is more of a thought process for them?
Yes, because positivity does not sell anymore.
I will say I've heard, not to jump on conspiracy train here, but I have heard that a lot of studios are really angry with Warner Brothers and how they're treating certain movies. Warner Brothers is the one that made this deal for Sinners. They are paying oodles of money to try and get themselves out of the gutter here, so they are overpaying auteurs, giving them deals that we haven't seen in quite a while to try and get movies on their side. And there are other studios that are angry that Warner Brothers is building things like this, so might be trying to draw ire in by the use of the trades. It's definitely an interesting bit of this whole movie world. We should be celebrating original IP that made money at the box office that people are excited to go see, and that is also a really good movie. Like, no offense to you, Kellerman, Minecraft should not be the future of movies. Sinners should be, and so we should be celebrating that, and I'm surprised that anyone would try to dissuade that at all.
Yes, somehow he shot a $90 million movie entirely on film in the way that he did.
On multiple different types of film.
Which is unbelievable.
It was
unbelievable. And he, for all accounts, made his days and came within budget. This guy is absolutely deserves everything that he's getting and should continue to do so, and more filmmakers deserve it.
So last week we talked about the top 3 vampire movies. We've all seen Sinners. Does Sinners crack the list of Blade, Interview with a Vampire, and The Lost Boys?
Yeah. I know that. Look,
I would put it above The Lost Boys. I don't know
Yes.
if I put it above the other two, personally.
ugh.
I think Sinners was a fantastic movie. I think it absolutely is the best vampire movie. I will say there are a lot of people that really think Sinners is one of the best movies they've ever seen. I don't agree with that. However, I think it pretty clearly jumps over all the best vampire movies of all time. It was a phenomenal flick.
It's one of the best movies I've seen in the last however long. Does it crack my personal top 10? I'm not sure yet, but I am very excited to see it again. And I do not give a hoot about seeing Blade or Interview with the Vampire again. And that's kind of how
crazy.
I judge an amazing movie. To me, this is the number one vampire movie for sure.
See, for me, I need a vampire movie. It's not even top of mind as a vampire movie for me because the vampires are really only maybe 20% of the film.
Let's go into the nitty-gritty of it. If you've been listening and watching this podcast, that was sort of the spoiler-free section. If you have not seen Sinners, now is the time for you to wait for us next week when we talk about how bad The Accountant did in theaters. But
Hold a second.
Let's dive in now to an actual spoiler review of Sinners, because again, we all three saw this movie. Kelman, as you said, it's only 20% vampires-y. Alche, you said it's one of the best movies you've ever seen. I have some hesitancy with putting that out there because there were some things in this movie that I found a little bit flawed. However, I thought it was, as we said before, fantastically done. And the sequence where they go through the different versions of music and the different genres and generations of music, and all of that one shot sweeping around the barn was genuinely one of the coolest things I have ever seen in a movie.
It was one of the most original
Burning
filmmaking
Barn,
experiences.
yeah,
It was
amazing,
unbelievable. The dancing, we were all like, it brought me up and out of my chair. I had never seen something so impactful with music and camera simultaneously. It was incredible. And the choreography that had to go into that shot, from the incredible actors throughout and the extras throughout to the crew and just the lighting shifts that happened, it was flawless. That shot.
It's been said now, because you see interviews now with all these people talking about how the stuff was made. That took months to do and then was shot in one single day.
It's amazing from a technical perspective. It's amazing from a creative perspective. It's amazing from a conceptual perspective. I feel like that scene not only exemplified the theme of the movie, but also unified everybody in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were all kind of represented in one way or another in that one scene. It is truly just an incredible cinematic moment.
Yeah, it was special. There were a lot of special things
There
in
were a
this
lot
movie.
of special things. There were some things, even as a filmmaker, and I know how special effects work, there are some special effects in it that I don't really know how they accomplished as well as it was.
The way in that opening shot of
The
Michael
two of
B-
them handing the cigarette back and forth.
passing the cigarette back and forth, is an
Unbelievable.
incredible It was gorgeous. I mean, obviously Michael B. Jordan's a beautiful man, but like the shot itself,
It was very pretty.
so special and cool and made so much sense. And he smoked a cigarette differently with both characters, like these subtle nuanced
and its
moments.
effect you might not even realize is an effect. You know what I mean? Unless
Yeah.
you know, even if you understand that there's only one Michael B. Jordan and they filmed it separately, you may not really understand how difficult it is for those two people who aren't actually next to each other to hand something back and forth and make that look as seamless as it did.
I also heard that Coogler was talking about how he had a twin consultant on set. And somebody who he grew up with, and who he went to college with, and the twins were on set, and they really made sure that there were differences, but the differences were subtle and real and nuanced. And when they were separate, those could really come out. But when they're together, they're more singular. It was a fast, and that to
really
me like
interesting.
made so much sense.
Which twin did you like better, Smoke or Stack?
Good question.
I like Stack. I loved everything about Stack. I loved how he was the more like, you just seemed to have a lot more fun, where Smoke definitely was the one that was trying to,
Yeah.
he was all about business. And Michael B. Jordan, I thought in both roles was excellent. I loved him as Stack.
I love Stack's wardrobe, I'll tell you that. Stack's wardrobe is like incredible.
Both of them.
All
Both
the
of
wardrobe
them.
in this
Yeah.
movie was fantastic.
Yeah. We absolutely need to talk about the introductory performance of the lead of this movie.
Yeah.
Sammy is the lead of the movie.
Yeah.
And it really, in trailers, they totally save that for the cinematic experience. This kid, Miles Caton, I believe, Caton is the way I believe you say his name. He is truly special as a musician, as an actor, just as an emotional being. The moment he's on screen, you're like, what is happening? What is his journey going to be? I was so fascinated by him, and he went toe-to-toe with some of the biggest actors in Hollywood and stood his ground.
And his voice is
His
unbelievable.
voice is stunning.
Voice-
And so
the voice
distinguishable.
Really,
Oh my God.
really impactful.
Really impactful, gorgeous performance. I also love that they ask him what, they've asked him recently in interviews what his dream roles would be. And he's like, well, my name is Miles.
Interesting.
And he wants to,
Okay.
Be in the
little
Marvel
Miles Davis.
universe.
Be in the
No,
Marvel
be in
universe.
the
No,
Marvel
Marvel
universe.
Oh, Miles Morales?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, you didn't think of a musician first? He's got a great
Fair
voice.
enough. Fair
What are
enough.
you
You should
talking
also
about?
play Miles Davis, but Miles
No, he was
Morales was
specifically
like where
leading to Marvel. Yeah.
Miles Morales
Yeah.
is where he wants to go. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is very cool.
A little old for Morales, but okay.
A little old.
Yeah, Miles Morales is like a kid.
He's a kid.
And speaking of Miles, that character grew into a man in this movie because there were a couple of moments. This movie gets very sexual and
Sure.
doesn't show a lot, which I really respected with that.
No.
But it also has some lines that are just, they're freaky. This is a freaky movie, and I'm A-okay with that in my movies. So this movie deserves every bit of the freak that it gets. Her saying, let me go wash up, and he's like, no, I want to taste you. Oh! Okay,
Yeah.
Miles, we're in, baby.
Yeah, there was some really, really good shit in there. Before we get out on Sinners, I want to pose something to the two of you. Coogler has now had an array of movies. He seems to be able to do no wrong. He's done the indie drama in Fruitvale. He's done the sports movie. Being a football player, and made sense that he really had a special place for Creed in his heart.
Yeah.
And he rocked it. He obviously did the massive budget Marvel film, and now the original semi-horror drama singular film that is Sinners. What movie, pitch me a movie that you want to see Coogler do next? And you know what? We'll each do a pitch, and we'll have producer TJ say which one he would like to see made.
That's giving a lot of power to TJ. You sure you want to do that?
I always want to give TJ some power. He's a very level-headed man.
Okay, well, clearly I'm not going to win this because TJ has his favorite, so I'll go first. I think, listen, at the end of the day, I will forever be a theater kid at heart. And so when you ask me, what do I want to see a great director and actor combined to do? Because I'm throwing Michael B. Jordan in this as well.
Sure.
This
I
is a
think we have
tag
to
team
assume
affair.
Michael B.
Assume
Jordan
that
will
Michael
be-
B. is going to be in this movie.
When I was growing up, man, I thought the retelling of Romeo and Juliet with John Leguizamo, it wasn't a very good movie. It was a very special thing to see. As you're growing up, when you see Denzel and Keanu Reeves and Kenneth Branagh doing Much Ado About Nothing, like that stuff excites me. So I want to see Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan combine and do something from the world of Shakespeare. Set it in whatever time period you want. Put it in the past, in the future, as it be now. I'm fine with whatever you think. The way you can tell this story and use Shakespeare's words to tell a story that needs to be told today, I think would be fantastic. I would love to see Michael B. Jordan in it. I would love to see Delroy in this as well, because if I'm putting this together, I'm casting Michael B. as Hamlet, and I'm putting Delroy as Claudius, and I'm letting those two battle it out, and having Ryan Coogler film the whole entire thing. So Coogler's Hamlet is my pitch for what he should do
Hamlet.
next.
Hamlet.
That's
all the
fun.
Shakespeare movies, and it would be Hamlet.
Hamlet's my favorite,
That's
man.
very
I
cool.
think it stands the test of time. I think most people know it. I just think, and it also is the great test of an actor to have an actor play Hamlet. Yeah.
Very
Fair.
cool.
That's fair.
Kellerman.
Gosh, the first thing that comes to my mind would just be that they'd make a great Blade movie, since they've done vampires and Marvel, and putting the two together just seems like a match made in heaven. But if we're doing something completely different from anything that he's done before, I think that Coogler could do a really good, like, biopic because of his attention to detail on time periods and characters. So I think that he could tell, like, a great Guy Bluford story, the first black astronaut to go to space.
Cool.
I just think that he could really bring a lot of life to a true historical event and really put us there with his attention to detail.
I love that. I think that's really cool. I would absolutely hop on board for either of these. Very, very cool stuff. I went a little outside the box, as I am wont to do.
What would you do?
As he is completely, he's somebody who has the ability to pull things out of thin air. I found out that his wife is a sign language interpreter, which I find to be very fascinating. And
Congo remake.
no. I think a sort of dystopian mental health psychological thriller could be very interesting. I want to combine Shutter Island with Don't Look Up. The end of the world is coming, and the only person who has the ability to save it is in a mental hospital. That's Michael B. Jordan's character. He's also deaf.
You had me until that deaf part.
Why? I just explained to you that his wife is a sign language interpreter.
Of course.
If I may, I really like that idea. If I could add on, and I want to know your opinion on this, if he is also, go with me, add on that he is autistic, but is also a serial killer.
He is not autistic.
And I think we can make some money, as shown by The Accountant 2.
Anyway, a dystopian mental hospital psychological thriller where the character is deaf. Oscar-winning performance
Wow.
from Michael B. Jordan. TJ, of these three, what do you want to see Ryan Coogler make next?
What I like most about Coogler is how cool he can be. And I would like to see him make Shakespeare cool.
Yeah. It was a good one.
Let's
And
go.
I'm kind of surprised that he chose yours, Tony, but it was a good idea.
It's a great pitch. Very cool.
TJ, I know how much that pained you, and I do thank you for choosing my choice of making Coogler's Hamlet. But
I would like to see The Tempest, though, personally.
Sure. Coogler doing Shakespeare with Michael B. Jordan until I think is a box office bonanza. But you never know. You could go with whatever Alche just pitched, which I still
we should write that.
don't
man. That was a
understand what that
great
movie was.
Shutter Island meets Don't Look Up.
original pitch.
But that is it for this week's show. Next week, we're talking about Shutter Island meets Suicide Squad when it comes to Thunderbolts. Can't wait to dive into that one.